This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Farming Week, the news podcast brought to you by Agriland in association with AXA Insurance. I'm Stella Meehan and I'm joined by my colleague Aisling O'Brien to run through the top stories in agriculture over the past week. So Aisling, the biggest story over the past week came from your neck of the woods, and that's the news that Kerry Co-op and Kerry Group voted and approved to sell the dairy division of Kerry Dairy Ireland to the Co-op. So can you run us through the deal, Aisling, in not too complicated terms?
Yeah, well, I'll try, Stella, but everything I suppose was building up to this week after news of this €500 million deal broke last month. So the deal essentially will see Kerry Co-op initially take a 70% stake in Kerry Group's dairy division, which is called Kerry Dairy Ireland, with Kerry Group retaining a 30% interest. And the remaining portion of Kerry Dairy Ireland will then have to be transferred to Kerry Co-op by 2035. Now, Kerry Group will be entitled to a fixed dividend of €7.5 million each year during the period of the joint ownership, and both parties are hoping to have the first phase of this transaction completed by the end of January of next year. So in recent weeks here on Agriland, we've covered various information meetings held by Kerry Co-op, Kerry Group, the Irish Farmers Association, the Munster Dairy Producer Organisation, hearing all of the arguments both for and against this deal. And the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, the CCPC, that's the watchdog, the regulator in this area, had already given this transaction the green light. So it essentially all came down to two crucial shareholder votes this week, those of Kerry Co-op and Kerry Group. Now, of course, both are separate entities, but their 50-year history is deeply entwined. Kerry Co-op currently holds an 11% shareholding in Kerry Group with a value of around €1.7 billion. So a lot of money at play here, Stella, as part of this deal. And on completion of the transaction, the Co-op will actually cease to be a shareholder in Kerry Group. And of course, this all marks a significant milestone in this story, with Kerry Group moving to become a pure taste and nutrition business, and the Co-op regaining control of dairy processing in the catchment area. Now, Kerry Dairy Ireland processes over 1.1 billion litres of milk each year from over 2,700 farms across Munster. It has 7 production facilities across Ireland and the UK, and it also has a range of well-known consumer brands such as cheese strings, Dairygold spread and Charleville cheese. Now, the business has a forecasted revenue of around €1.3 billion for this year. It employs over 1,500 people and operates 31 agri-services stores across the catchment, which includes the counties of Kerry, Limerick, Clare and Cork. Now, all Kerry Dairy Ireland staff, including the current management team led by Chief Executive Pat Murphy, will remain in place. And in order to fund the first phase of this transaction, Kerry Co-op are going to use a share exchange programme, with members of the Co-op being given 85% of their shares directly in the form of Kerry Group shares. That'll be worth about €1.4 million in total, and that will be a tax-neutral transaction for the vast majority of people out there. The tax will only kick in where you transfer or sell those shares on. Then the remaining 15% of shares worth around €250 million will be retained by the Co-op to invest in the part acquisition of Kerry Dairy Ireland. Now, the final 30% stake in Kerry Dairy Ireland will be funded through a 1 cent a litre contribution from milk suppliers from 2026. That will come to around a total of €50 million. There'll also be third-party debt, bank debt of €80 million, and forecasted accumulated cash within the business, which we're told is around €20 million. Now, another interesting aspect to this deal that we have discussed in recent weeks is that Kerry Group has agreed to put a €50 million fund in place to resolve the ongoing long-running dispute over leading milk price, which was the subject of arbitration. That will involve a cumulative payment of 5.4 cent a litre to suppliers for the years from 2015 to 2020 as per their milk supply contract. That has been a point of contention for a lot of suppliers out there. They wanted that payment for all milk supplied in that period. Now, there are currently over 11,900 shareholders in Kerry Co-op, but around 5,500 of those have voting rights as per the Co-op rulebook. So on Monday of this week, we saw 2,392 Kerry Co-op A and B shareholders, they are milk suppliers and former milk suppliers, turn up to a special general meeting held at the Gleneagle INEC Arena in Killarney in County Kerry. Now, the start of the meeting had to be delayed by some 40 minutes, Stella, because of the traffic approaching the venue. And the Co-op actually had run buses from across the catchment to allow shareholders get to this meeting to cast their votes. And I met some shareholders, Stella, at the meeting who had travelled from as far away as the Clare-Galway border to attend the meeting in Killarney. Such was their appetite to want to, I suppose, exercise their democratic vote. And the meeting, it was addressed by the Co-op on the overview of the deal was given, and then we had a question and answer session which at times did get very heated. Shareholders who were in favour and against this proposal outlined their thoughts on it. Look, those against this deal claim that the valuation of Kerry Dairy Ireland by Kerry Co-op at €500 million is overvalued, and there was also concerns raised about maybe how that could impact milk price going forward as well. So under the Co-op rules, the proposed transaction could only proceed if it was approved by the required majority, which is 66% of those present at that meeting. And shortly before 4 p.m. on Monday, Kerry Co-op Chair James Tagney announced the result. Have a listen.
Total registered votes was 2392. The votes cast was 2376. Spied votes was 4. The valid poll was 2372. Votes for was 1,955. Against was 417, which is an 82.42% in favour of the resolution.
So as you heard there, Stella, over 82% or 1,955 shareholders present at the meeting voted in favour of the deal, with 417 voting against. So quite a strong mandate given to the Co-op board there to go ahead with the transaction. And after the vote, I caught up with Kerry Co-op Chair James Tagney, and he told me how it is now that the real work begins.
It's a big day for shareholders and milk suppliers to Kerry Group, and the result was excellent. And I suppose going forward, we look forward to growing this business for milk suppliers. You know, the vote has passed. Now we move on. Now the work really starts in delivering a good milk price for milk suppliers going forward, because they will get their shares regardless. But going forward, it's all about the business and growing the business. And I'm delighted with the result. I'm delighted, you know, for all the farmers and all the milk suppliers in Kerry that, you know, that we can go forward together, united, because united we can build bridges. And that is a huge thing for us going forward.
So interesting comments from James Tagney there, Stella, talking about building bridges with milk suppliers. Of course, over 400 shareholders at the meeting voting against that deal. And also, I suppose he spoke about moving Kerry Dairy Ireland to more of a co-op ethos as well. So then attention turned on Thursday afternoon of this week to Kerry Group shareholders. They gathered at the Rose Hotel in Tralee for an emergency general meeting. And as had been widely anticipated, the vast majority of those present voted in favour of selling the company's dairy division to Kerry Co-op. So that all means that the deal has now passed its final hurdle after previously securing approval from the Co-op shareholders and regulators. And as part of this deal, Kerry Dairy Ireland will now have a new board structure, which will comprise of 7 Co-op nominees, 3 Kerry Group nominees, 2 independent non-executive directors, along with the chief executive of Kerry Dairy Ireland. And I understand that the majority of the current Kerry Co-op board have put their names forward for those positions. So we will be bringing you news on the makeup of that board as we get it. And just before we leave the Kerry Dairy Ireland deal, some reaction. Noel Murphy, the ICMSA, the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association Dairy Chair, described it as a watershed moment for all suppliers and all Kerry farmers. Noel milks over 100 cows in Kerry and he supplies Kerry Group, and he voted in favour of the deal. He said that he was happy enough that we can change the trajectory and bring it back to a pure co-op. And he said that can't but be a positive thing. But he did acknowledge there is unhappiness and aggravation among milk suppliers that the arbitration payment from Kerry Group is not being made on all milk supplied during the period. And he said that it's from now on that the really difficult and hard work has to start, as well as the delivery of good results. There also has to be a good milk price as well. And he did point to, I suppose, the challenges that are facing other dairy processors across the country, such as the ageing profile of milk suppliers and trying to encourage young farmers into the sector. And also, of course, the nitrates issue and environmental concerns as well facing the dairy sector. The IFA Kerry chair, Jason Fleming, I also spoke to him after the vote, and he said the biggest future challenge facing the Kerry dairy deal is going to be milk price. That is what it is all going to come down to. And he said that Kerry Co-op had told information meetings, and I'd heard it myself, Stella, that no milk supplier would leave the new entity because they'd be getting a higher milk price somewhere else. And he said they will be holding the co-op to that into the future. And he also pointed to the issue as well of those B&C shareholders not having representation directly on the new board. And he said that that is something as well that may have to be looked at, because those B&C shareholders contributing some 170 million euro in shares towards the deal. So they will be looking for maybe more of a say on that new board. So plenty more to come after Christmas on this deal, no doubt.
Absolutely. And thank you very much, Aisling, for your comprehensive coverage from the beginning to the end of that whole deal process, both for and against, and making it understandable for our wider audience as well. So thanks for that. But I do want to stay with some more dairy news now, Aisling, which emerged this week. And that was in relation to Dairygold, and more specifically, its sustainability bonus. Of course, sustainability, a very important term in dairy farming these days. But there was some good news from the processor this week, with a 33% increase in that sustainability payment as part of its grassroots milk suppliers sustainability bonus scheme. Aisling, can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so this bonus payment was introduced by Dairygold in 2023. And since its launch, the co-op has actually paid out more than 17 million euro to participating milk suppliers. Some 93% of milk supplied to Dairygold is sourced from farms participating in this grassroots programme. So as you said, we got an announcement this week from Dairygold that it will be updating the bonus, along with offering 33% more in the payment. This, the processor said, will result in around 14 million euro being paid out to participating farmers each year. Now, the updated bonus will offer Dairygold suppliers the opportunity to receive a 1 centilitre equivalent by participating in what is being called impactful sustainability actions. Now, those actions include protecting water quality, the use of protected urea to reduce, of course, greenhouse gas and ammonia emissions, participation in a soil health programme, engaging in milk recording, herd health and genetics programs, along with farmer training and education. A lot of suppliers out there may already be involved in that sort of activity on the ground. And the updated programme, Stella, includes new elements focused on farm nutrient balance training and action, and on herd genetics. And Dairygold explained that nutrient balance is a leading metric for water quality impact, and awareness at individual farm level, they said, would help to drive additional appropriate action to protect water quality. And when it comes to herd genetics measures, including dairy beef, they said that it will further enhance herd performance to support more sustainable and profitable farming. So I guess, Stella, this move by Dairygold, it reflects that of processors right across the country who are trying to work with their milk suppliers to improve the sustainability of our dairy industry, and of course those scope 3 emissions as well, to try and bring those down at farm level as well. And as we reported last week on the podcast, the Department of Agriculture has formally applied to the European Commission last week, actually, to retain Ireland's nitrates derogation. And this is all going to hinge on our ability to demonstrate improvements in water quality on the ground and those actions that farmers are taking. Now, Dairygold Chair Sean O'Brien said that water quality is a priority issue for the agriculture sector. And he said that the processor is committed to doing what it can to further drive action to protect and and improve it across the Dairygold catchment. But he did note, and it's something that we've heard repeatedly from the sector, that Ireland has to be given time to demonstrate the efficacy of those measures, that we can see that we're given that time for them to work and for the results to come back through the EPA, and that the Commission can see that the hard work that farmers are doing is paying off. So all in all, it's a positive move, and I think it is good to see that farmers are being rewarded and incentivised for sustainability work, a lot of which, as I said, they may already be doing on the ground.
That's true. Now moving to agri-politics, and the Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association, that's the ICSA, held its AGM in Portlaoise this past week. And while there was competition for the role of president, a familiar face managed to secure the position again. So Aisling, can you give us some details?
Yeah, a lot going on in the world of politics this week, Stella. Verona Murphy becoming the first woman to be elected Ceann Comhairle in the Dáil. And we're led to believe that this is going to pave the way for a new government to be formed. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, the 9 TDs maybe of the regional independent group.
Looking
which
like
includes,
that, yeah.
Yeah, includes Verona Murphy. Perhaps maybe the Healy-Rae brothers from my corner of the world. They've said their phones are on, so they may come into play as well. Who knows? But it does look like the path is cleared now for us to get a new government and to move on with the business of the country. But as you said, back to matters of agri-politics, and Sean McNamara has been re-elected this week as president of the ICSA. That happened at a national meeting of the association, which took place in Portlaoise on Wednesday night. The Westmeath man who farms sheep, beef and sucklers will formally step back into the role for his second term at the ICSA's national AGM in February of next year. Now, Sean McNamara was previously the sheep chair of the association before running against former President Dermot Kelleher, who was going for the position for a second term in 2022. And in December of that year, McNamara and Kelleher were both bidding to become the leader of the association, but they actually reached a power sharing agreement, I suppose similar to that rotating Taoiseach position, which we may see again in the new government. And that's how they came to that arrangement. So this time around, there were 2 candidates, Sean McNamara, of course, and his fellow county man from Westmeath, Dan Lynham. Now, Lynham is a suckler, sheep and tillage farmer and is the current chair of Westmeath ICSA. He's been actively involved with the association for many years, and he previously served as the ICSA National Treasurer back in 2017. So all elected members, Stella, of the association's national executive, which comprises of representatives from across the country, were eligible to vote. And that national executive is over 100 members. And each candidate made a presentation to the meeting, which was followed by a question and answer session, which was chaired by our colleague and friend of the podcast, Agriland technical beef specialist Breffney O'Brien. And voting followed those presentations, and we did get the result that Sean McNamara will be retaining that role as ICSA president into the new year. So a lot going on in politics this week.
That's for sure. Now, another story covered quite extensively by the Agriland team this week was data from the Central Statistics Office, that's the CSO, regarding farm structure and the makeup of farm enterprises in this country. Now, there's a huge amount of detail revealed in the data, and we can't get into it all. But if you want to read more about it, you can check it all out on the Agriland site. But Aisling, would you give us some headline details?
Yeah, some very interesting findings in this report. So it's the Farm Structure Survey 2023, and that showed that there were just over 133,000 farms across Ireland last year. That's down 5% from the over 139,000 farms back in 2013. That means, Stella, that there were 6,421 fewer farms in the country at the end of that decade. So the total area used for farming in Ireland last year was recorded at 4.62 million hectares, excluding commonage. That's actually an increase of over 110,000 hectares since 2020, which the CSO told us is driven by a decrease in land classified as commonage. Now, there were almost 270,000 hectares under cereals in 2023. That's down from just over 300,000 hectares in 2013. And 82.2% of the land was under silage, hay or pasture grassland. Now, the data shows that the average farm size in the country was just over 35,000 hectares, which translates to around 86 acres in 2023. That's up almost 7% from the 32.5 acres in 2013. Now, the Western region, your own part of the country, Galway, Mayo and Roscommon, Stella, had the highest number of farms in the country last year at just over 30,000. More than half of farms in the country last year were classified as specialist beef. And there's a lot of detail, as you said, in this report, Stella, and people can check it out. But just some of the interesting findings, I suppose, when we look at the demographics within farming. And the CSO said the average age of farm owners in 2023 stood at 59.4 years. 87% of farm owners were male, while 13% were female. Just over 50,000 or 38% of farm holders were aged 65 and over, while just around 6,000 or 4% were aged under 35, which is very stark. And between 2013 and 2023, the number of farm holders aged 65 and over has increased by about 1/3. Now, smaller farms were more likely to have a female owner. 17% of farms that were measured at 10 hectares or less had a female holder, compared to 13% for all farm sizes. Now, when we talk about those ages, it's very interesting because generational renewal is a huge talking point, Stella. And this report shows us that less than half of farm holders have a succession plan in place. But those who did have recognised, the vast majority have indicated that the successor will be a family member. And also, just before we finish on this, some insights into livestock numbers in this report. Number of cattle increased by approximately 440,000 head from 2013 to 2023. And over the same period, the average herd size rose from 62 to 72. Now, the overall number of Irish farms with cattle actually dropped by 8% in that period. And the data shows that there was actually a 42% increase in dairy cow numbers between 2013 and 2023. More than 5.5 million sheep in the country last year, which is up by 600,000 from 10 years ago. And the data also shows that the number of tractors owned on farms last year stood at just over 201,000. And also we learned that some 5% of farms in Ireland reported having at least one form of renewable energy present on their farm, the vast majority of those being solar PV panels. But as you said, a lot more detail on the website and app, and definitely check it out because it is a real snapshot of where farming is in the country at the moment.
Absolutely. Now, also this week on Agriland, we had two distressing stories about missing and frightened sheep in different parts of the country. We even had the IFA calling for immediate action in terms of illegal hunting and trespass and lurching, stating that farmers are deeply concerned and worried with what the IFA has said is an increase in rural crime in recent months. But our reporter Louise Hickey has been speaking to some of the farmers affected by incidents involving sheep. So give us the background, Louise.
Yes, Stella, so we had two cases in the last 2 weeks where sheep have gone missing from their land. Last week we covered a story where a farmer had sheep missing on commonage and was looking for months to find the sheep. This week we covered a story about a farmer who reported 12 missing on private mountainous land. Farmer Tony Harrington lost around 12 young crossbred ewes a few weeks ago and has searched all around in Barracree Mountain Upper. The farmer said that it seems the sheep have been driven off the land and said that they would never cross the river unless they had help. He said that they are worth around €200 a head or more now, in line with current sheep trade. But he said it's not really about the money at this point, but more the annoyance and trying to get to the bottom of it. This is the second time that Harrington has had sheep missing on the mountain in the last 2 years. And while he has reported both instances to Gardaí, he wants to get the word out there so the farmers can keep an eye on online sheep sales to ensure that the sheep are not being sold without the owner's knowledge. He has posted pictures online, so you can see those over on Agriland to keep an eye out. So a very distressing time in the run-up to Christmas, Stella. And another distressing story we covered was a case of a dog attack this week on sheep in County Kerry. We were talking to farmer Chris Barrett, who found his sheep scattered on Sunday morning after a dog chased them on his land. He rounded up 15 of them and with the help of neighbours found another 4 sheep which were injured. He actually said that his neighbour also had sheep killed by the dog on the same day, and he said that it was quite obvious that the dog went for the sheep's throats as the majority of the damage is in that area. He said that the attack is a testament to what a dog can do. The farmer said that there's not been a dog attack on his land in about 30 years, but that sheep worrying is always on the back of a farmer's mind. Aside from the severe injuries, the rest of the sheep are now traumatised, according to Barrett. He said that there's a chance they may not go to full term with their lambs now. So there was no way to calculate the price of a dog attack, according to Barrett. He said that he is more worried about the animal welfare issue and has reported the incident to Kerry County Council dog wardens, where there are investigations ongoing there. Here's a message that Barrett had for some dog owners.
Folks, this is what your lovely, lovely family pet can do. Any dog can do it. A dog is a dog. And if people have dogs, they should take care of them, and they should be under their eyes and under their observation on a continuous basis.
So yes, Barrett is clearly frustrated with dog owners and said that while most are responsible, that some need to step up and keep their dogs under control. And Vice President of the Irish Natura and Hill Farmers Association, or the INHFA, John Joe Fitzgerald, described the incident as unacceptable. He said that it is the second time in a week that he has had to speak to a farmer whose sheep had been attacked by dogs. He said that both farmers have been devastated by the scenes of seeing their sheep torn apart and mauled by dogs. Fitzgerald, who is also a sheep farmer in County Kerry, said that the INHFA will be seeking an urgent meeting with the government to have this issue resolved for once and for all. He said that dog owners need to be held accountable to their actions.
Now, as Christmas time is upon us, many people will be getting the last minute bits and pieces for the Christmas over the next few days. And of course, cost is always a consideration, especially when there is so much other expense with gifts, etc. at this time. But it was revealed this week that the estimated cost of an average Christmas dinner for a family of 4 this year has risen by 2% to €34.74, according to market research group Kantar. Aisling, can you tell us more?
Well, it is that time of the year again, Stella, and many households around the country are gearing up and limbering up for that big Christmas food shop. Now, before you grab that trolley and before we talk about what it all might cost you, we're being asked to look out for the logos this Christmas. And what I mean by that is food quality and assurance logos. And the IFA has made an appeal directly to consumers to look out for the Board Bia Quality Assurance logos and the National Dairy Council logo for dairy products. And according to market analysis from Kantar, shoppers spent €90 million on December 23rd alone last year. So next Monday is anticipated to be the single busiest day of the year for supermarkets, just so you know, in case you might want to go on Sunday in case
Absolutely.
to avoid those crowds. Now, Francie Gorman, the IFA president, said that the Board Bia and NDC marks will give consumers a guarantee that you are supporting local producers, and we do really have some of the best quality products in the world thanks to the hard work of our farmers all throughout the year. So please do support them when you are doing that Christmas shop, and be sure to check the label for country of origin as well and to support local. And look, this is always a time of the year where we can be at greater risk of price wars as well as supermarkets battle to attract customers in their doors. And Francie Gorman said that retailers have a responsibility to pay a viable price to producers. And he said that price wars are inherently damaging to growers. They destabilise demand for their produce and they create the impression that the costs of production are lower than they actually are. So just bear that in mind when you are shopping as well. So with all of that advice in hand, what can you expect to pay for the Christmas dinner? Well, as you said, the average cost is up by 2% this year to €34.74, with turkey prices actually helping to drive that increase. But also Brussels sprouts and mince pies, both of which I absolutely adore, not at obviously the same time. They've also risen by more than 10% in price compared to this time last year. And this year, consumers will likely pay more for their potatoes, parsnips and carrots than they did last year, but they'll pay less for stuffing, while fans of gravy are also likely to pay less. Now, Kantar have said that the latest trends suggest that Irish shoppers have been buying early and gathering up those festive favourites in recent weeks. So to all of those tasked with the Christmas shop, we wish you luck out there. And I know it is a very busy time of the year for everybody, Stella, and there are a multitude of events going on at the moment. There's there's nativity plays, there's carol services and everything. But just a reminder for farmers, and I'm sure they know, but just have a look at the stocks on the yard of essentials before the co-ops and the farm shops close for the Christmas break, feed or anything that you might need while the co-ops do take that break as well. And if you, like me, are a bit of a last minute Christmas shopper, we do have you covered, as our colleague Rachel Birch has put together a list of gift ideas for the farmer in your life. Everything from waterproofs to dealer boots to tech on the farm. We've plenty of inspiration for you if you're going to be dashing around the shops. And I suppose all that's left for me at this point, Stella, is to wish our listeners a very happy and safe Christmas, and a big thanks to our producer Will as well for his hard work all throughout the year, putting up with us and making the podcast sound the way it does. So thank you very much, Will.
Thanks for that, Aisling. And I just have to remark there on you describing Brussels sprouts as a festive favourite of yours. It would not be on my festive favourite list, I have to say. I can take all other vegetables, but something about the Brussels sprout, I just can't do it. But I do enjoy this time of year. And sure, we all know in agriculture, is there a day off for a farmer? Really? Probably not. But that's why farming and farming life is so attractive to some people. They just love it. They do it because they want to, not because they have to. And this time of year is a great time as well for the tractor runs. So you see tractor runs the length and breadth of the country. So much fun for children in particular. Just be safe. Make sure that you're well seen if you're going along to a town or village to watch the tractor run. But it is a very special time of year, and most of the tractor runs are run for charity causes in local communities as well. So fair play to them. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for on this final episode of the Farming Week until the new year. Thanks to Aisling O'Brien and Louise Hickey for joining me, and for Will Byrne for always producing the podcasts in Agriland throughout the year. And to our sponsor, AXA Insurance, thank you for your support this year. We here at Agriland wish you all a happy and peaceful Christmas, and look forward to keeping you up to date over the festive break on our app and website. Thanks for your support and listenership for all of our podcasts over the past year. Until next time, from myself, Stella Meehan, happy Christmas and take care.
This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance Stack is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.